Chapter 62. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Pirate world, people in many places were shouting and shouting, with extremely hot eyes. King, this is the real king. It would be great if you could follow him. Victory will surely belong to Uruk. People everywhere who were oppressed by noble kings rose up to resist. How the people wished they were the king's subjects. Revolutionary Army Headquarters. Mr. Long, more and more people are supporting our revolutionary army. Telegraph operators received letters from all over the world continuously. Yoxi, it's time to overthrow those corrupt, dirty and superior people. A fierce look appeared on the dragon's face. Gun Yong world. Ha ha ha, now I can completely overthrow the king of this dirty world. This is the real king, and it's time for the world to look at those false kings. Gun Yong's figure is gradually hidden in the darkness. People in various worlds who are at war are deeply affected by it and are eager to fight. The soldiers look down upon death. Yes, what's the use of living alone if your family is gone? Even if you die, you must protect your home behind you. In the picture, everyone is riding Quetzalcoatl, flying to the ocean where Tiamat is located. As soon as they crossed the valley, they saw a huge black figure far in front of them, pure darkness, surrounded by Ramu's protection. It's so densely packed that you can't even see how many there are. Tens of millions. Hundreds of millions. Or billions. This has surpassed the previous singularity. This is a true divine battle. Perhaps only God can fight against God. Mortal power will eventually reach its limit. The first wave is here. Ishtar reminded everyone. Ahead, dozens of flying Ramu were seen attacking. The eldest sister made a vertical leap and with such powerful force, she tore these charging Ramu into pieces. Soon, they broke through the first wave, but the second wave that followed was more and more numerous. Right. A dark figure came with a sword in hand. Fortunately, Fujimaru reacted and was not cut in half. I'm rushing in again. The visitor is Ushiwakamaru, who has been infected by the black mud. Throw her off. The Ushiwakamaru at this time was no longer the Ushiwakamaru at that time, so there was no need to hold back. Quetzalcoatl seemed a little impatient. He condensed magic power in his hands and released it instantly into the air. Boom. There was a violent explosion. The flames instantly covered Lam, and the surrounding Lam instantly turned into ashes. Click. Fragments like skin fell off the eldest sister's face, and her spiritual base has begun to be damaged. Miss Ishtar. Mashio didn't pay attention, and the blackened Ushiwakamaru flew towards him from a distance. Mashio turned her head in horror. Just as the sword was about to hit her, a spear was instantly inserted into the body of the black Ushiwakamaru. Please leave the goods that my master broke into to the poor monk to deal with. What are you doing now? Hitachibo. You who are as free as the wind are actually possessed by anger. It is really unbearable for this poor monk. Hitachibo rushed directly in front of the blackened Ushiwakamaru. What nonsense! Ushiwakamaru, who was dragged down by Benkei, gave everyone the opportunity to leave. How far? Ishtar couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. There were too many. 10 kilometers. So far. Mother is ashamed to have arrived at the Fong of Nabistan. At this moment, Fujimaru and the others rushed towards the Lamu group. They didn't plan to go around anymore and just rushed in. 3 minutes left for the target. Everyone is ready to assist Quetzalcoatl in deploying his noble phantasm. The blackened Ushiwakamaru appeared in front of him, but he hadn't finished speaking yet. The eldest sister punched it away, and the strong wind pressure, accompanied by flames, forcibly opened a gap in the Lokmukan. Fujimaru-kun. Let's go separate ways. I'll leave it to you to provide the magic power. The eldest sister glanced at Fujimaru playfully, quickly left here on the pterosaur, and rushed towards Tiamat. Until he came to Tiamat, he changed his previous aura. His face was calm. He squatted down and put his fist on the back of the pterosaur, emitting a dazzling light. Coyotl shouted, "The past existed here, so does the present, and the future also exists here." The magic circle on her palm went over her head, and the magic circle covered the entire back of the pterosaur. Blast, come on. Come, O thunder! This is the time when Venus shines, yellow lightning is raging, huge magic power is condensed in the middle, the space trembles, and the temperature rises linearly. The fireball condensed with magical power gradually descended and fell into the hand that the sun is shining over there too. The flames wrapped around the big sister's fist, shining like a small sun. Sun Piedra, calendar delegate stone soul. The moment the fist fell into the sea, shocking flames rose from the sea, like the pillar of the world, the ocean actually burned. The scene becomes quiet. 3 seconds, back. Boom. The vast and boundless sea surface instantly turned into a sea of fire, and then turned into magma. The frightening black mud also disappeared quickly. A huge mushroom cloud rises from the sea. Another day of nuclear peace, good blessings to the world. Very scary. Is this the power of the goddess? Kazuma was so frightened that he shivered. Isn't this power a bit terrifying? Who can resist it now except Saitama? He looked at the mentally retarded goddess beside him and burst into tears instantly. No wonder he is not the protagonist. He doesn't have that life. Is this the ancient goddess? Who can't conquer the world with such strength? It makes people unable to resist. It turned out that she had been playing around before, thinking that was her strength, but they were too naive. If it weren't for Saitama's anomaly, how could a mortal possibly defeat a god, just hold her back like this? When everyone was already sure of victory, the big horn on Tiamat's head unfolded and continued to rise into the sky. Her feet were originally weak, but now she can fly. Can she fly? But Ishtar showed a look of disbelief and said in panic, How can it be? Mother is the goddess of the earth and cannot approach heaven. Everyone was also panicking. If she could fly, her plan to fall into the underworld would be impossible. The weapons of the Mesopotamian world cannot hurt her at all. I once said so. The big sister condensed the fireball in her hand and integrated it into her body. She is preparing to explode again with the noble phantasm solar calendar stone. But since this body is the divinity of a distant demonic realm, the god of Mesopotamia is no big deal. The decorations on her body are constantly falling apart, the spirit base is constantly being damaged, and cracks appear on her face. But her eyes at this moment were like the rising sun, which was awe-inspiring. No. She is the embodiment of the sun. Let you see our underground underworld in South America, Xibalba. The power of a great conflict that will wipe out many lives. Flying outside the earth in just a few seconds, she turned into the sun and stepped down into the world. Several circles of light appeared in the sky above Tiamat, as if they were afraid of the sun in the sky. This body will turn into a burning rock and a comet to kill the earth. Ultimo, impact tope, flying kick patata. Like meteorites falling from the sky at extremely fast speeds, the atmosphere is transpiration, the earth is melting, the oceans are evaporating, and everything will probably turn into nothingness with this kick. At this moment, the divinity of Quetzalcoatl explodes with all its strength. Boom! The flames swept tens of thousands of miles and steamed instantly. This was more than the power that a nuclear bomb could show. The sun goddess is risking everything at this moment. Click. The barrier is constantly shattering. Boom. Click. Tiamat's huge horn suddenly shattered with a long gash. Under this huge pressure, Tiamat shouted angrily. The power of the barrier was strengthened again, and even the elder sister who exploded the noble phantasm found it very difficult. Fujimaru Ritsuka shouted, Command seal. Bring victory to Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl raised the corners of his mouth and chuckled, Burn it, fighting spirit. The blazing flame also burns up the gods, Xiacotl. Tiamat increased the output of her magic power, and a burst of counterattack force almost ejected Quetzalcoatl. Come on, Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl heard Fujimaru's encouragement, roared, and evaporated the last bit of his strength. Click, the last barrier exploded. Next moment. The most powerful blow from the South American god fell on Tiamat's head. Chapter 63. You are listening at novelfull.audio. All living beings became quiet, their eyes were dull, and their spirits were drifting to no one knows where. The earth melted and the sea evaporated. Is this the power of the South American god? The blazing divine flames make mortals unable to resist. It seems like she was plotted before, and now she doesn't have even half of her divinity. Hiss. In the world of pirates, Sanji has already knelt down and worshipped him with stars in his eyes. Tiamat will probably suffer a lot of trauma this time. Is there any need to say this? Nuclear bombs are not that outrageous. In the picture, the explosion flames slowly dissipated, revealing Tiamat's figure. Ma Xiao looked at the huge figure in horror and said in disbelief, how could this happen? Even though she was under such a strong attack, she couldn't be hurt. Everyone outside the video was completely dumbfounded. Such a powerful attack actually didn't cause any damage. Even Boros couldn't be unscathed by this blow, right? The doctor said anxiously. No, the situation is not good. If this continues. Fujiwara Ritsuka reacted immediately and ordered. Doctor. Quickly analyze Tiamat's injuries. Find a breakthrough. Ishtar goes to the northwest to stop the Lakmu group. Matthew. Unfold your noble phantasm in front of the enemy to gain some time. But, Senior, your body. Fujiwara spit out a mouthful of blood, turned his head, his eyes were extremely determined, as if nothing could shake him. Because his mission is to protect mankind. As long as you try your best, no one knows what the consequences will be. Even so. We can't stop either. Ma Xiao stared blankly at the senior in front of her, which made her extremely moved. Yes. But at this time, a black shadow blocked their vision. Ma Xiao looked up at it with wide eyes and said in a cold sweat. Gorgon. Lamu flew over at great speed from a distance and said sarcastically. You fake. Gorgon killed him calmly and said coldly. Don't scream, you dirty bastards. Fujiwara Ritsuka didn't know why Gorgon came to help them, and asked. Can you help us? Help you? Yes, block Tiamat here. Gorgon glanced at him with his huge purple pupils and said sternly. You are the ones in the way. I will crush Tiamat's wings. Let her know that she is only worthy of crawling on the ground. Gorgon slowly lowered his head, closed his eyes, and stopped looking at them. Looking at this familiar movement, Fujiwara bit his lip, his fingers almost embedded in his flesh, and he gritted his teeth and said. That's up to you, thank you, turn around and leave, Senior. That Miss Gorgon is Anna, Fujiwara Ritsuka said with a cry. Matthew. I know, Gorgon. At this time, Anna spread her wings, raised the corners of her mouth slightly, and said softly. Although I haven't formally said goodbye to you, but it's enough for me. Sorry, I just don't want you to see me like this. But God Tiamat, I will give you a taste of real harm. Anna's magic eye emits a breathtaking purple color, and the magic circle condenses in front of her, transform into a giant snake god, shoot down the dragon of the earth, and melt everything. Her hair was like a violent wind, wrapping her body. In an instant, her right eye fired a dark black destructive light cannon thousands of meters high. Its power is no less powerful than Quetzalcoatl. Boom! The shocking attack made everyone outside the video run away in fear of being petrified. Forced sealed pandemonium cetus. The corner of Tiamat that was damaged by Quetzalcoatl began to tremble violently, and then began to break, drop to the ground. Anna's magic power was exhausted at this time, and she said with a smile. Thank you for the flowers you gave me. Gradually turned into points of light and disappeared in this world. Who formed a team to kill Poseidon? As long as whoever is called Poseidon in the future, he will be beaten to death. He is simply the scumbag god among scumbag gods. Not called Tang, Poseidon. No matter what his name is, as long as he is a sea god, he will be treated as a scum god. For a time, the sea gods from all over the world began to avoid it, especially the world with the myth of Poseidon, which was the object of everyone's hatred. Tiamat, whose corner was destroyed, was unable to fly and had to continue gliding on black mud. Gilgamesh from Uruk praised. She is indeed a two-pillar goddess. It seems that capable goddesses still exist. Ishtar. Black mud has now reached the foot of the city wall, King Gilgamesh. Fujimaru and the others ran towards the king. Its back. Let's see all of Uruk. The end of the world. At this time, Uruk was deserted and war was raging. It was like a city of silence. No one could have imagined how prosperous it was before. All the people have died in the battle. King Gilgamesh crossed his arms and stared straight ahead, coming. Our mother appears. Let Tiamat see it now. Uruk's last courage. Let's get to know it. A golden magic circle rose from the ground and enveloped the King of Heroes. The divine power seal that originally needed to be controlled by soldiers is now being activated. Who is this king? These divine seals are all made by me, infused with magic power and coordinated by me. The divine authority seal surrounding the city wall flew up into the sky like mortars, blasting towards Tiamat. Boom! The sound of explosions one after another swept through the heat wave and blew towards everyone. The sweat on King Gilgamesh's cheeks started to flow, but his red eyes were full of determination and he said firmly, "As long as you have the determination to die, control this body. The mission to contain Tiamat here. Let me take charge of the palace perfectly." Fujimaru Ritsuka anxiously asked Arai when he would be fine, but when he came to his senses, Tiamat shifted her target to him. King Gilgamesh sensed it instantly and appeared in front of Fujimaru Ritsuka, blocking the attack for him. Fujimaru, who was paralyzed on the ground, looked at King Gilgamesh with blood pouring out of his abdomen, and said in silence, "King Gilgamesh," but the king did not blame him at all. He gritted his teeth and said angrily, "Actually playing sniper. How hateful. The aim is quite accurate, damn Tiamat." One dragged his injuries to the side. Ma Xiu blamed herself extremely and cried, King Gilgamesh, I failed to protect him." The proud King Gilgamesh snorted coldly, "Oh, don't worry, it's just a fatal injury. As long as you're okay, get moving." Seal of divine power, Dinger. Mashu collapsed on the ground, his hands trembling, crying and shouting, "Please stop. Either way, your body has." Gilgamesh looked forward firmly. Even if he was injured, there was no way he could stop him. "Are you trying to say it's impossible? Do you think I have reached my limit? Do you think Uruk can no longer fight? Do you want to say that too?" Fujimaru Ritsuka. The aloof king needs no mercy from anyone. Just look up and witness everything about him. The King of Heroes' shocking determination has infected people in many worlds. This king said that even if people die in battle, as long as Uruk is there, they will not disappear. Fujimaru Ritsuka calmed down, stood up, put one hand on his chest, and growled, No. Uruk is still here." Gilgamesh chuckled. "Well said. It's time for me to show my real skills. Although I have gone all out from the beginning, I also want to save face." More and more Ramu have arrived in Uruk, and they actually use their bodies to destroy the city wall. When Ishtar saw this, he broke out in a cold sweat. He couldn't hold on like this. That being the case, it seems that the magic power required to drive my mother into the underworld it can only be released here. At this moment, many golden halos appeared behind her. Countless chains were released from it, and in just an instant, a large number of Lamu were reduced to ashes. This chain is Jingu. Ishtar looked at Jingu, who suddenly appeared in surprise, being beaten like this by this mass-produced model. It seems that old humans can't do it either. Jingu, who was carrying the Holy Grail at this time, spoke extremely forcefully. Ramu roared, "Why help humanity?" Jingu remembered the conversation with the aloof king. Regardless of mother and birth background, do what you want to do. Just like the king in the past, as well as him. Jingu looked at his empty hands, tears instantly flowed down his cheeks, and murmured, "I don't have anything like that, Jill. But there is one more thing that comes to mind, that's why I really want to see you, I want to talk to you, memories and feelings that I want to keep in my heart, I want to talk to each other as friends, but these are Enkidu's wishes." Jingu has only one wish, feel sorry, mother, you chose the wrong child." Sad music. Jingu flew towards Tiamat and stood in front of her, lightning emitting from his hands. "The son of God Tiamat, Jingu. The basket of the lock of heaven will be displayed here." A cross of light bloomed behind him, lightning was raging, and golden light shone on this dark land. It's like giving the world a glimmer of hope. Boom! A huge golden aperture enveloped Tiamat, and countless chains poured out from the lower aperture. Mother's anger is gone. What is being evoked now is the breath of the stars. Jingu's body gradually merged with the heavenly lock, turning into a lock cone that was even bigger than Tiamat, pointing straight at Tiamat. "O people, I hope to bind the gods Enuma Elish." The dazzling golden light illuminates the surroundings, and the darkness no longer rages. King Gilgamesh said calmly, "Take a good look. She can step onto this divine tower with just one step, but this step is extremely heavy, very unwilling. The lock of heaven, finally, can even suppress the power of the God of creation that I watched my friends leave twice. The first time was in lamentation. But this time it's different. That proud and heroic figure has been branded in the eyes of this king forever." King Gilgamesh turned around, looked at Fujimaru Ritsuka tenderly, and said with a smile, "I want to thank you, Fujimaru. The time has come, and the next victory or defeat depends on you." The last master of mankind and his servants accepted the king's last entrustment. Ishtar, send Tiamat into the underworld. Been waiting for a long time. Chapter 64. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Inside Fuyuki Church. "Ha ha ha, you saw it. The glory of Uruk." Jin Shining laughed loudly. He was very happy at this moment. "Enkidu, see it. Our history is recorded in this world." At the same time, there was no sadness in his eyes, only pride. "Dear King of Heroes, you will surely win." Is this a tyrant? Don't be kidding me. This is a real wise king. When those passing by heard this familiar voice, they all showed incredible expressions. I seem to hear King Gilgamesh laughing. Is it my imagination? It seems to be coming from this church. How is it possible that this ancient king is still alive today? Go in and have a look. Pirate world. Somewhere on the battlefield. "King, you are injured." The soldiers looked worriedly at the king who was suppressing the rebels. The usually ferocious king snorted at this moment. Just a fatal injury." The soldier looked at the king who suddenly looked much taller in shock, and for a moment he didn't recognize him. "Take me away quickly, do you really want me to bleed to death?" The corner of the king's mouth twitched crazily. He is not King Gilgamesh. There is no comparison between the two. Screen continues. At this time, Ishtar rose into the air. At this moment, enjoy the dazzling figure of the goddess Venus. Open the door. A cluster of stars suddenly appeared in the sky above Ishtar, and a mortal could be immersed in it just by looking at it. To the great heaven, to the great earth. Among the stars, a huge Venus is slowly landing. This goddess can actually evoke the power of Venus and unleash her full divinity. At this moment, her eyes turned golden, like the stars. Venus bloomed with unparalleled light, covering the earth, and everyone was blinded by the light. The power of Venus is concentrated on the noble phantasm, turned into a bow and arrow, aimed at Tiamat. This is all my power. Crush it. Mountain Shock Star Salary ANGLTAKIGLSHE. The light arrow turned into an energy cannon, shining like a fallen meteor. Boom! The earth shook. The powerful force instantly collapsed the ground. And directly below is the underworld. Matthew. Senior. The two people's hands are tightly held together, as always. Fujimaru Ritsuka stared blankly at King Gilgamesh who was still standing in front of him. Wang looked back at him and said goodbye with a smile. This world. The death of Tianji Wedge marks the parting of ways between humans and gods. Fujimaru Ritsuka and the others also arrived in the underworld to meet up with Arai, Ereshkigal. Welcome to the underworld, that I especially give you the right to exist in the underworld and the right to float. They also saw Tiamat suppressed by the laws of the underworld here. Tiamat, who originally did not possess death, felt a concept called death. Although I feel sorry for King Gilgamesh, let me, the mistress of the underworld, put an end to this. Ereshkigal is holding a precious phantom, and magic power is covering it. The Garrula spirit of the underworld, the numerous spears of corruption. The punishment that comes to the underworld for the invaders. Dozens of pink and purple light guns surround Tiamat. Poof! The light gun instantly inserted into Tiamat's body, forming a suppression circle. Even Tiamat is in agony under the oppression of the underworld. Ah, screaming miserably. Ereshkigal said very confidently, not even if you are the god Tiamat, you are still an ordinary god in the underworld. He is vulnerable to the combined attacks of me and the Galura spirit. Vulnerable. Just when she thought she was safe, the black mud in Tiamat's body instantly enveloped her. The tide of chaos begins to erode. Tiamat actually wants to swallow the underworld too. Ereshkigal, however, was so panicked that he couldn't panic anymore. He kept retreating while holding the noble phantasm, and said in panic. How, what's wrong? What happened? The spiritual base of God Tiamat returns to the age of gods, and now proceeds to the Jurassic period. And she is recovering quickly from the attack she suffered before. His body shape has also undergone earth-shaking changes, losing his human form more and more, turning into a truly evil beast. The dragon body state transformation is completed. There is no doubt that this is the real creator god. Is there any way to stop it? The Chaldean doctor completely lost his voice. This is no longer something ordinary gods can match. Ignore other laws and still want to devour. This is the beast of disaster, an existence rejected by human history. Is there any way to stop it? Ereshkigal looked at the underworld being eroded by the tide of chaos in front of him, panicking. The power of the underworld is declining sharply. Be prepared to be aware. Ereshkigal. Just as she was cheering herself up, black mud hit them like a wave, and it would fall on them in just 1 second. When everyone is desperate, a flower appears on the light curtain. Immediately afterwards, the terrifying tide of chaos turned into beautiful petals in an instant, which made people feel trance-like. What's this? Ereshkigal's eyes widened and he looked at this scene in confusion, not knowing what was happening. Flowers actually appear in the underworld. And all Ramu disappeared in an instant. Looking at these familiar flowers, Fujimaru Ritsuka and Mashu looked at each other. No way. But he is obviously gone. At this time, a familiar figure landed in the underworld. Okay, caught up. Fufu saw the fierce look on his face. The plum forest falls among the flowers, like a dreamy handsome man, looking like an elf. Since black mud is the ocean that breeds life, then I will replace it with harmless life. Everyone was overjoyed when they saw Merlin. Merlin. People outside the video were dumbfounded. Wasn't this thing gone before? Why did it appear again? Fuyuki City, Saber looked at that figure quietly, and the corners of her mouth twitched slightly unconsciously. Saber, what's wrong with you? Shiro said with concern. It's okay, I just saw a fool. The doctor also screamed with surprise. But no one has summoned him again. Where did that come from? Merlin replied with a smile on his face. Don't worry, I am the real Merlin. He ran over from Avalon in a hurry. Fujimaru was shocked when he heard this. Run over here. Is this the title? It's numb. It's numb. Merlin's appearance made everyone feel relieved unconsciously. I can't disgrace my name as the flower magician. Praise me as much as you like. Just as they were reunited, Tiamat had begun to spread her wings and planned to fly away from the underworld. Merlin looked at God Tiamat with a solemn expression and said, The hatred and sorrow of being abandoned instead of being needed in human history, and the transformation of the earth's form after being abandoned by the earth, and the joy of becoming the mother of all things again, the goddess of creation is just a false title, this is exactly the catastrophe rejected by human history. The 7 evils of humanity, the beast with the principle of return. Beasel, in the face of such a disaster, even the top position feels extremely difficult. But this time Merlin standing in front of Fujiwara Ritsuka and the others. Fujiwara Ritsuka, Mashu, your journey to this singularity is the most difficult, and this beast is also the strongest enemy. Even if we get to this point, it still doesn't know what fear is, what is death. But the conditions are ripe for it to appear on this ground. The weapon that can fight against the beast of restraint is, servant of the highest rank. Alright. Look up at the sky. The original sea. Your death is there. In a very high position, a man in sackcloth, with the noble phantasm in his hand stuck on the ground, was looking down at Tiamat. His rich and majestic voice spread throughout the underworld. Without death, there is no life. If there is life, there is death. The eternity in your mouth is not walking, but sleeping. The beast of disaster, the evil born from human beings. The love that longs to return is the root of rejecting you. The magic turns into blue light particles covering the whole body, with deep skull eyes, dark armor covering the whole body, and the heavy sword in front of him, like the Lord of Hell. Although I have fallen into a beast, I am still the original mother. I have to claim my name. From the abyss of the valley, rushing from the dark death, that I am the old man of the mountain, Hassan Sabah. Those eyes from the abyss seem to be judging the god Tiamat. Chapter 65. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Shape Moon World, the believers of various timeline cults and even the other 18 Hassan showed extremely excited expressions. They actually saw the true form of the patriarch, which no one had ever really seen before, and there was no way to find evidence of his actual existence, of course, because everyone who has seen him is dead. This legend has arrived in Uruk now. His appearance frightened those corrupt and depraved people. It seemed as if his head would be beheaded the next moment. In the picture, Tiamat felt a great threat and took the lead to take action. Dark light beams shot out from its cross eyes. Boom. Grandpa jumped up suddenly, with hell flames coming out of his body, holding the noble phantasm, and sued the angel to death. Take away your wings. Without brilliant power, just waving the noble phantasm made Tiamat miserable. Instantly chop off Tiamat's wings and attach the concept of death to it, rewriting its immortal law. Fujimaru, beast can be eliminated now. Everyone launched a fierce attack, and now Tiamat clearly felt the smell of death, desperate to escape to the ground. Red thunder in the underworld. 6 pillars of light appeared around Ereshkara, falling on Tiamat like lightning. The fierce explosion still couldn't stop it. Tiamat is driven by a strong will to survive. A large amount of black mud gushes out of its body, and this time Ramu is different from before. Its speed and strength have been greatly improved. These Ramu can be said to be the 11th magical beasts. There are not many Ramu, but they are extremely difficult to deal with, and their power has reached the level of gods. And their magic power has been almost exhausted. It seems that he has also performed his best tricks. Merlin raised his hand, and a treasure phantom suddenly appeared in front of him. That is, Saber outside the video jumped up and quickly looked to see if her sword was still there. Luckily it's still there. Humph, what kind of sword does a magician play with? Merlin holds the staff in one hand and the sword in the other, and the two cooperate with each other. Arturia often falls for this trick too. On the other hand, Ishtar cannot take care of herself after being beaten, and the magic power in her body has bottomed out. Fortunately, Grandpa appeared in front of her at this moment. Retreat. If it is the child of God Tiamat, the power of each one can rival the demon leader. Demon God, am I a unit of measurement? At this moment, Tiamat has almost reached the ground entrance. And they are close to their limit. Fujiwara Ritsuka roared hoarsely. Continue like this, beast is about to run away, everything seems to be coming to an end. The Ramu also sneered, seeming to laugh at their vulnerability and imminent death. Poof! Several glowing noble phantasms appeared on the heads of several Ramu. The next moment, hundreds, no. Countless noble phantasms are falling towards the Lams like raindrops. Why are you so sloppy in doing things? The naked man, with his hands folded across his chest, dozens of circles of light behind him. He looked at the people below with a smile. Countless noble phantasms fell on Beast's body, causing it to fall in pain. Let me help you out. Servant, archer hero King Gilgamesh. Because it's too noisy here, I'm here to help you. The person who came was none other than the fallen Gilgamesh. At this moment, he was appearing in front of everyone in the form of a heroic spirit. King Gilgamesh. Fujiwara Ritsuka and the others were overjoyed. They did not expect that after Merlin, King Gilgamesh would also come here. Don't take your eyes off it. Merlin shouted hurriedly. Before he could say anything else, Tiamat changed again. The whole body was exuding white energy, and the closed eyes opened in an instant. A halo of light is released from the center, covering the whole body, forming a huge barrier. Everything around me turns black and white. Merlin saw this scene and shouted in shock, that this is not impossible. The doctors of Chaldea were the same, looking at what was happening in front of them in horror. Etc., etc., etc. This reaction is, inherent enchantment. Merlin was sweating coldly, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. No. This is a new world. Negagenesis. The barrier continues to expand, and wherever it passes, all life disappears in an instant, even Ramu is no exception. There is a sea in the sky, a prison in the earth, my heel is the wrath of Hades. Appear, fever temple. The spiritual peak steps on Kurkigler Kala, the man of the underworld. Several huge red flames rose from the ground, blocking the expansion of the barrier. At the same time, the boulder suppressed Tiamat's body. Trapped in place. Mashu, now we need your strength to deal with its abominable capital barrier. The appearance of the chalk city that carries all the thoughts of that king may be able to compete with it. Everyone understood what the king meant, and this required key figures. That is Fujiwara Ritsuka, and now he is the only one who can enter that barrier. When the barrier is deployed, I cannot move. Take this with you and aim for its head. King Gilgamesh took out a golden dagger from the treasure house and threw it to Fujiwara that I can't hold on to the barrier any longer. Hurry up. Ale has reached her limit at this time and her body is extremely weak. A cherry blossom-colored magic circle appeared at Merlin's feet. He placed the noble phantasm in front of him and released the noble phantasm, the inner sea of stars, the platform where things can be seen. Let you listen carefully from the end of paradise, your story is full of blessings. Only the innocent can pass. Matthew closed his eyes and murmured, real name, public. I will stand on the seat of disaster, that is our hometown that can heal all wounds and all resentments. Ma Xiu's eyes were firm, her purple skirt swaying, and at the moment Tiamat was about to break through the seal, she shouted, manifest. The ideal city Lord Camelot is already far away. The eternally isolated utopia garden of Avalon. Ma Xiu and Merlin released their noble phantasms at the same time. The huge city protects them, and even countergenesis cannot break through and destroy them. At the same time, an endless sea of flowers blooms in this lifeless underworld. Ereshkigal sat helplessly in the sea of flowers. She still tried her best, but her spiritual energy was damaged. Ishtar ran over quickly, looked at her weak state, and shouted, I feel strange. Not only do you break the taboos of the underworld and lend your power to the living. It is impossible to use power in this way without incident. Ereshkiga's eyes gradually lost focus, he lowered his head, gasped for air, and smiled softly. So what, that I am the mistress of the underworld? Her hands kept shaking and she was unable to lift them up. To protect the underworld, I just used the most effective method. But it's not easy for you to meet someone you can communicate with. If you were here, Ale bit her lip tightly, and after a while, she murmured, I wonder if there will be a more romantic encounter next time. Hee, my basic divinity is even more gloomy than it is now. Maybe we won't be able to have a good chat. But that's fine, I don't like it, me now. The girl raised her hand tremblingly, using her last bit of strength to hold a hand of flowers. The petals instantly slipped from the gaps between her fingers. I just like that human lifestyle. Ereshkigal. Ishtar held her shoulders tightly and looked at her gradually disappearing. Wonderful, my underworld is actually full of flowers. The girl disappears into Ishtar's arms, and the underworld disappears into the sea of blooming flowers. Fool. Chapter 66. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Naruto World. When the Otsutsuki clan saw this scene, they were so frightened that they no longer dared to go to other planets wantonly. What kind of monsters are these? There is actually no concept of death. They can live for a long time without dying, but there are great risks. In Tiamat, it's just a concept, a rule. They don't know how to defeat this kind of enemy. Saint Seiya World. That sea of flowers is as beautiful as the pure land of paradise. Seiya couldn't help but recall how dazzling that piece of pure land looked in a land of the dead, but looking at Saori, a gentle smile appeared on her face. Well, she is not the Athena of that world, otherwise, people's next actions may hurt this goddess who protects the earth. Shape Moon World. People of Chaldea. Looking at Fujiwara Ritsuka running through the barrier, she was very nervous. This video exposes the future. Will it change? Some people thought that since they can see it, the gods in the seventh singularity can also see it. In the screen, Fujiwara Ritsuka keeps running towards Tiamat. Fujiwara's miraculous movement avoids boulders like crazy. Tiamat also sensed Fujiwara's danger. The black mud hatched Ramu and attacked him instantly, but fortunately, he moved well and avoided the blow. Just when he thought he was about to explain this, Wang Hassan walked up to him. Since it is a group of the dead, its opponent is naturally death. When Fujiwara was shocked why he could come in, Ramu's attack had already penetrated Wang Hassan's body. Chi chi chi. Ramu sneered at this assassin who didn't know the heights of heaven and earth. Wang Hassan looked at Ramu quietly, and even slowly moved his head towards it. The abyss is staring into Ramu. Grumble. Chew. Wang Hassan opened his bloody mouth and ate Ramu forcefully. Have eaten, and spit its head aside, crush Ramu's head with one foot. The scene was extremely bloody. Leave the subjugation mission to me. As a living person, just move forward, Wang Hassan said to Fujiwara, and then turned to other Ramu, with the same ferocity. It's like an assassin turned into a berserker. I'm afraid even Uncle B was shocked when he saw it. Fujiwara Ritsuka arrived in front of Tiamat, but the distance was still far behind. Ouch. Fufu appeared at the corner of Fujiwara's shoulders, her whole body radiating light. The next moment, Fujiwara teleported and appeared on Tiamat's head, flowers wrapped around his body. He raised his conceptual gift and stabbed towards Tiamat. A white light flashed across the screen, and everyone outside was prohibited from moving, and Fujiwara Ritsuka also came to Tima. This space was empty and white, with only Tiamat standing there blankly, her head lowered. Fujiwara Ritsuka stood quietly in front of Tiamat, just like at the beginning. At the same time, cracks appeared in the antigenesis barrier from the outside world. Click. The barrier that was originally expanding now shrank to the size of Tiamat. Fujiwara Ritsuka, who fell down, let out a roar and looked at the sky. Gilgamesh. The screen rose rapidly. Gilgamesh crossed his arms and looked at Fujiwara Ritsuka with a big smile. It seems you succeeded. Fujiwara Ritsuka. Wind-like red magic power began to condense around King Gilgamesh, spinning around the king, then used this blow as a farewell ceremony. A sword with no blade, but a cylindrical blade, gradually emerged from the king's treasure. The deep black blade and red lines caused some gaps in the space. Narrate the original. When the world was created, nothingness also congratulated it. Tear the world apart with my sword of deviation. Surrounding the mortar of stars, hell and heaven is the end point on the eve of creation. Let your death settle everything. Enumilish, the star that opened up the universe. 3 layers of huge force fields rotated, causing intense time and space flow. The endless magic power turned into a point, the space vibrated, and a deafening sound was made. Buzz. The huge laser cannon, the moment it hit Tiamat, caused its body to continue to break. Until it turns to ashes. The screen is gradually filled with white light. At this time, a pair of feet appeared in the video, still in the white space, and Tiamat was already silent. That pitiful look is not as scary as before. Prime Minister, you can't do it, you can't do it. put your saliva away quickly, this is disrespectful to God, and you will become a fan. Sun Laogo looked at Ma in the sky and sighed secretly, I am also a chow thief. Fujiwara Ritsuka walked up to her and asked, Who are you? Ma lowered her head and murmured with a somewhat sad expression, that I gave birth to many lives, that was also loved for life. But the kids use me as a jumping off point, gradually leave me, that I want to love them all the time, I want them to stay with me forever. Could it be, my love, is it all wrong? What children need is to have their own world, not just in their mother's arms. You won't grow like this until you die, the eaglet will eventually grow, not just grow up. Tiamat's clear and translucent eyes looked at Fujiwara Ritsuka in a daze, I have no idea, but the children all love you. Fujiwara Ritsuka threw the golden dagger aside and murmured, So, I have to go. Tiamat's body was gradually disappearing, tears dripping down her cheeks and falling to the ground, but she still murmured, Do not go, don't leave me, don't love me anymore. Fujiwara Ritsuka turned around resolutely and said goodbye. By now, thank you, humanity will eventually find its own path and no longer need gods to guide it. The age of gods will eventually leave. Fujiwara Ritsuka and Mashu returned to the ground, and the previously destroyed earth had been repaired. Here it is. It seems to be near Babylon. While the two of them were talking, the leopard man came towards them. You guys wake up, meow. Following closely behind her was the Quetzalcoatl that everyone thought had fallen. Hi, I am your reliable big sister, and they have also come to the moment of final separation. Travel to Uruk. I saw Ishtar and Merlin who were still waiting for them again. And King Gilgamesh is waiting for them, taking a nap on the throne. King Gilgamesh. You are too slow, napping all the time is not good for your health. Certainly, this king has no body now, it doesn't matter anymore. Ishtar complained crazily that he didn't come to them. Isn't it natural for a minister to come down and ask for an audience with the king? The arrogant king glanced at the unreliable goddess. They came to the high platform and looked at the ruins of Uruk. It was a bustling city not long ago, but it has become like this in just a short period of time. Uruk will not be destroyed. The successors will make Sumer prosper. Fujimaru, you know the story about a man who went to the underworld in order to live forever, right? King Gilgamesh fell into memories, which seemed like his own narrative. It was also the last story the king told Fujimaru and the others. Throughout one's life, one gains something and then loses it in the end. Even if everything is lost, one still has to face tomorrow. The unruly attitude of human beings is really ridiculous. The so-called human beings have unlimited room for growth. This will not change even at the last second before the end of life. This is what human history is all about. Finally, would you like a drink? The king took out a golden cup containing ale from the treasure, and that is the Holy Grail. Goodbye then. Chaldea. This time is really a great victory. Yes. Gilgamesh turned around, half opened his eyes, and asked with a smile, What do you think of this Uruk? The two looked at each other, responded with a smile, and said loudly, Had a great time. The picture gradually rises into the sky and gradually ends under the sun. Chapter 67. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This battle between humans and gods explains to people from all over the world what true gods are, as well as the integrity and courage of human beings. The reason why God is called God is not only the gap in power, but also the gap in laws. Except for Saitama, the big devil, who has never been injured from head to tail, he is not included in this list. Naruto world, Otsutsuki no longer has the arrogance of before. There are many beings in this universe that are more powerful than them. What's more, if Ishur was beaten into such a horrible state, why would anyone else go and send him away? Naruto, did you record what King Gilgamesh said? Jiraiya, who has come back a long time ago, is going to take Naruto to practice at Miyamu Mountain. In the future, he will be quite good at celestial arts. He is much better than his master. It's much stronger. I wrote it down, but what happened? Naruto looked confused and didn't understand the meaning of these words. You will understand in the future, and you will become a stronger Hokage than your father. Jiraiya laughed, feeling extremely proud in his heart. The future Naruto is really good. Then he can continue with his new novel. Death World. Ichigo, let me ask you, what is the difference between a king and a mount? Shiro Ichigo asked. Ichigo thought for a moment and replied, it's a pet. Shiro Ichigo said, damn, watch less videos. You were not such a fool before, One Piece world. Luffy, I'm going to die, Tiamat is coming. Usopp was paralyzed on the ground at this moment. He had not recovered yet and was in a state of mental stress the whole time. After all, it was too scary, the four emperors. The world government. I am afraid that in front of those real gods, he is really just cannon fodder. Those powers can allow you to be undermined silently, and more likely to cause you to burp directly. Usopp, don't worry, don't be discouraged, people grow up in desperate situations. I am the man who wants to become the Pirate King. Luffy yearned for the Pirate King more and more, and his belief became stronger. The 5 old stars were kneeling under the void throne at this moment. Im appeared again. Shape Moon World, Fuyuki Church is overcrowded right now. The surroundings were full of mortals who wanted to admire the king's figure. People who entered the church before saw the aloof king, so more and more people knew of his existence. Humph, you bunch of miscellaneous cultivators are shamelessly admiring my heroic figure. Gene Shining is very unhappy at the moment. He should have known he would not show up in front of mortals. He is not good at hiding his figure. But he is still standing in front of the people, which makes him feel a little dazed, as if he is thinking of his own people in the past. Countless people from all over the world want to follow the wise king, but this is just a fantasy. At the same time, many kings began to imitate the hero king and wanted to become a wise king, but this cannot be achieved by simple imitation. Some people are born leaders. Otherwise, in every world, there are countless kings in history. If they could be recorded, how many would the world know about? Many kings in the moon-shaped world looked unhappy, wondering why they were not on the list. Are they worse than Gilgamesh? In Chaldea, Fujimaru, Ritsuka and Mashu, who have not yet started the 7th singularity, are already excited. Fujimaru, Mashu, are you confident about the next singularity? The doctor looked at Fujimaru with a smile. Yes, they looked at each other as always. Even if the future was not revealed, they would still face it calmly. I really want to see the king's face, not in the video. Fujimaru Ritsuka murmured. He completely forgot about the 3 goddesses, and only had the king in his heart. Dragon Ball World. In Universe 7, Beerus was bored and wanted to fall asleep while watching this video. For such a weakling to call himself a god, he really doesn't know the heights of heaven and earth. Weiss, how long does that prophecy last? Beerus is too eager to fight an opponent with him. At this time, Vegeta, who had been beaten by Sun Wukong and fled the earth, was receiving treatment. Damn Kakarot. When I recover from my injuries, let's see if I don't kill you all. You should collect the Dragon Balls first, and that Namekian one seems to be. At the same time, Frieza also knew about the Dragon Balls and was preparing to extend his claws to planet Namek, trying to gain eternal life. Goku, who was lying in the Earth Hospital, was so bored that he almost tore down the hospital. Wukong, don't move, Chi-Chi roared loudly from the side. Can you behave like a king? Wukong looked confused. What does this have to do with his injury? Wukong, we are here to see you. I'll bring you fairy beans too. Krillin appeared at the hospital and handed the fairy beans to Wukong. Very good. I can practice now. Wukong jumped up happily. For him, cultivation is the most important thing. Also, recently many people want to conquer God and have already climbed the tower. They don't know that the gods have died in the battle to protect the earth. What a bunch of idiots. Klin thought of something and said again. It's okay, Immortal Karen is very strong. No one climbs that tower now. Klin spread his hands. It's not easy to be a god now. Mortals without strength still challenge him. If it were someone with a bad temper, he might even have his ashes raised. Wukong, I'll leave first. Bulma calls me if you need anything. They are preparing to go to Namek. find the Dragon Balls, and then return to their companions. Krillin bid farewell to Goku. When the whole world fell into the craze of kings and gods, the silent screen showed light again. Zitzi, this time seems different from before, the time is much slower than before, but soon the picture appeared in the light curtain. Top 10 saviors, no. 2. Dragon Ball World, Super Saiyan Son Goku. Thanks to Bling Bling for the reward. Brothers, the Goku chapter may be as long as Naruto. After all, he had a great influence on me when I was a child. I always thought that I was very powerful and a car couldn't kill me, but I got hit once. Much more honest. Chapter 68. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the picture, a child with injuries all over his body is floating in the air with a huge energy ball on his head, smiling and looking into the distance. Dragon Ball World. Wukong. This person. You're actually carrying me. I do my best for this family. Chi-Chi was stunned when she saw this familiar person with that special hairstyle. All she could think of was Wukong, or maybe it's their child, but as a married woman, she tends to have random thoughts and thinks of the bad things. As a result, I feel more and more aggrieved. Suddenly he burst into tears. Chi-Chi, that's me. Wukong said quickly, if others don't recognize him, how can he not recognize himself? But that is obviously from his childhood, and what is that thing above his head? It looks like a vitality bullet, but when I was a kid, I didn't know how to do this. For a moment, Kakarot's brain shut down. It was too difficult for him to think about things. In Frieza's Legion, Vegeta, who had been cured, looked at the shrunken son Goku and was furious. He is the savior. How can this be? This prince actually didn't kill him, but why is he so young? Could it be Dragon Ball? We must leave Frieza's Legion first. After saying that, Vegeta quickly took the spaceship and flew to Namek, Death World. The captain showed an extremely shocked expression and murmured. What a powerful fluctuation, and also full of good intentions. Many people among the Shinigami have been so frightened by this wave that they cannot move. With just one glance, they feel that this child is another person like Saitama. But what the hell, this is a child. He has been practicing since he was born in his mother's womb. Is it so outrageous? Dragon Ball Parallel World, in planet Vegeta that has not yet been destroyed, Bardock just stole the spaceship and sent away young Kakarot. Well, Kakarot. Bardock looked at Kakarot in the sky and was so shocked that he couldn't speak. The front foot just came out and the back foot came out. Wrong, Super Saiyan Son Goku. Could it be that one is legendary? Could it be that this look is my ancestor? Yes, it must be my ancestor. Bardock fell into deep thinking. He always felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't explain it. Fairy Tale World. Ever since Natsu saw Naruto and Saitama fighting, he wanted to become stronger even more. I'm still too far behind. When he saw little Wukong, he was stupid again. A powerful aura hits my face. There is one more person to chase. Screen continues. Countless people wearing strange suits were standing in front of a huge planet. Among them, there was a strange-looking creature with 2 horns, looking at the planet in front of them with a sly smile. His appearance made everyone in the world, and even the gods, feel a strong chill. This monster. How could there be such a strong monster? Poros, the overlord of the universe, showed an expression of extreme horror. A ball of energy appeared on the tip of his finger and was thrown towards the planet in front of him, getting bigger and bigger. And the people on this planet can't stop it even with all their strength. Boom! Along with a roar, the planet completely turned into a pile of ashes in the universe, and he laughed loudly. Oh ho ho ho, the explosion of the planet is as beautiful as ever. Planet Vegeta is destroyed. What kind of existence can destroy the planet at the slightest disagreement? Countless people were so frightened by Frieza that they became incontinent and horrified. Even those so-called natural disasters did not dare to act rashly. In his eyes, the destruction of the planet was just fireworks. Then how many planets must he have destroyed? Thinking of this makes his scalp numb. This monster is pure evil. God Tiamat looks much cuter than him. Can humans defeat him? as soon as the scene changed, a place where birds were singing and flowers were fragrant was like a paradise. A young boy with an unconventional hairstyle appeared in the light screen. At this moment, he was fishing by the river with his naked tail stretched out. The next moment, a huge fish jumped out. The boy knocked it over with one punch and packed it away. Everyone outside the video saw this scene. He said that this child is definitely not a human being, he even has a tail. Then a girl bumped into him, that this is the first encounter between Goku and Bulma and the beginning of the story. They set out on the road to find the Dragon Balls and encountered many powerful enemies along the way, but they were all defeated by Goku. Gradually, Wukong grew up, got married and had children, but at this time, a visitor from outside the world broke their lives. Son Wukong's life experience has also surfaced. He is not an Earthling, but a Scion. Fighting nation in the universe. In order to prevent his brother Raditz from destroying mankind, Son Wukong and his brother died together, and learned that a more terrifying enemy would come to the Earth. Sure enough, a few years later, two Scions came to Earth. This time the Earth warriors suffered heavy casualties, but Vegeta was finally defeated by Goku and let him go. Why let him go? He had obviously killed all his friends and yet let him go. How is this different from letting the tiger go back to its mountain? But those powerful beings knew what Son Wukong meant. So lonely, invincible is so lonely. If there is an evenly matched opponent, they would love it. Especially Saitama, his eyes are shining now, as if he has seen his real opponent. The long-dormant feeling of fighting excitement is gradually reviving. The damn light curtain actually exposed me in such a miserable state. Vegeta in the spaceship was so angry that he wanted to fire 2 cannons to relieve his anger, but he didn't do this, otherwise there would be no more people. In order to resurrect Piccolo, they went to Namek. And this time their opponent is Frieza, the one who destroyed the Scion planet. Face the Emperor of the Universe. Krillin and others fought hard against Team Jinyu, and even Vegeta was beaten to a terrible state. Goku arrived in time and saved them, but he was also plotted by Jinyu and was seriously injured. Finally, the Emperor of the Universe appeared in front of them. Facing this powerful enemy, only the resurrected Piccolo can fight against it. But Frieza kept switching forms, becoming more and more powerful, and everyone was defeated again. Facing this terrifying enemy, Goku finally arrived. Vegeta lay on the ground and looked at the terrifying energy contained in Son Wukong's body. He couldn't help laughing and mocking Frieza. Frieza, the Super Saiyan you feared, is finally standing in front of you. When Frieza heard this, he was so angry that he almost exploded. He condensed energy waves with his fingers and shot them at Son Wukong, but they were easily blocked. When Vegeta saw this, he even mocked him unscrupulously. Ahaha, Frieza, you're done. When Frieza saw Vegeta being so arrogant, he shot a death beam that pierced his heart. Vegeta, who was dying, looked at Kakarot in tears and asked him to kill Frieza before he died. This was the first time that the prince with extremely high self-esteem said this. He was very unwilling to do so. He was powerless and could only ask Kakarot, who was a lower-level warrior. At the same time, Frieza also recognized this familiar face. It was the first Scion who stood in front of him. Now his son is actually standing in front of him. The two of them kept fighting. The sky collapsed, the earth shook, and the sea stirred up huge waves. The speed of the battle between them was much faster than Saitama and the others before. People can only see a point that flashes rapidly on the light screen. These two are simply much more terrifying than gods. Facing this powerful enemy, Wukong tried his best, but in the end the only solution was the vitality bullet. With the help of everyone, the energy bomb was successfully gathered, and Frieza was also driven into the abyss of the sea. I originally thought I had defeated it, but I didn't expect that Frieza would appear on the burnt stone again. The angry Frieza controlled Krillin into the air and crushed him to pieces. Wukong looked blankly at Krillin, who was blown to ashes, and the anger in his heart had never been higher. Frieza, you guy, I will never forgive you. Wukong's anger filled his chest, and a special power spurted out of his body. The world changed at this moment. The earthquake caused a fierce tsunami. the earth began to scream, the sky was shaking, and hurricanes swept the world. The world seems to be perishing, and this is only caused by the anger of the Scions. Click. Golden lightning struck beside Wukong, his hair fluttered in the wind, and a touch of golden color appeared in the hair. Next moment. Roar. The roar from the ancient giant ape penetrates the depths of the soul. You guy. Frieza couldn't help but feel fear in his heart. He didn't know what had happened to Son Goku, but Scions can only transform into gorillas. But now, could it be, just as he was thinking in horror, the energy in Wukong's body suddenly rose. Golden arrogance lingered all over his body, his hair and eyebrows all turned golden, and his eyes were as deep as gems. Goku looked at Frieza indifferently. At this moment, he was a pure warrior. The Super Saiyan has finally arrived. Chapter 69. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dragon Ball World. The moment Wukong saw Krillin dying, the anger in his heart could not be suppressed. Damn Frieza! That a very strong energy burst out from Wukong's body, and he could vaguely see a hint of golden color in his hair. Although it was a video and something happened in the future, Wukong was always so simple. The death of his best friend made him extremely angry. Damn it, he must not be allowed to kill Krillin, who was at Bulma's house, was so frightened when he saw his dead state that his shiny bald head dimmed a lot. Why is he gone again? In the spaceship, Vegeta saw his embarrassed side again and became even more angry. The shameful side is not enough, you want to do it again. Damn it, it's too much. And Kakarot actually became a Super Saiyan before him. If you don't kill Frieza, he will go to Earth now. Looks like I can't beat him. Let's go to Namek first, before Frieza does. And the Namekians were so frightened that they immediately gathered in front of the Great Elder, asking for help. Dragon Ball Parallel World. Bardock looked at his son who had grown up to this point and laughed. Ha ha ha, did GNEI see it? That's our son. At this moment, he was extremely excited. The legendary Super Saiyan appeared in his son's body. Well done Kakarot. So what if they die? Their children will eventually avenge them. And many Scions on planet Vegeta are already panicking, especially the high-level officials already know that Frieza is coming. So why should they escape now? Can it be lost? The Universe Emperor Frieza accelerated his journey to Vegeta at this time. He has no future at all, and now he can only eradicate it, the world of One Punch Man. Saitama jumped up excitedly, and the throbbing in his heart burst out again. So strong. This man was so strong that his blood began to boil. I really want to have a good fight with him. How to go to this world, how to go. This pure collision of power is so wonderful. Genos on the side looked at the teacher blankly. This was teacher Saitama whom he had never seen before. He actually showed such a hearty smile. There's fire in his eyes. Son Goku, who has transformed into a Super Saiyan, has greatly improved his speed and power, and Frieza is unable to fight back. Frieza was so angry that he couldn't believe that those monkeys could push him to this point. But before he could think about it, Wukong's fierce attack hit him all over his body, and his own strength was also declining. The golden flames in Wukong's body are getting stronger and stronger, and he is constantly familiar with the power in his body. And Frieza's 100% power has begun to decline. Hateful. Hateful. Frieza, dominated by anger, blasted energy into the core of Namek. Boom. The ground began to crack, countless magma emerged from the ground, and everything was collapsing and disintegrating. The whole world was on the verge of destruction. At this moment of destruction, Dandy used the power of the Dragon Balls to resurrect the people killed by Frieza and send them back to Earth. Only Goku and Frieza are left facing each other. Great, Krillin is still alive. Wukong breathed a sigh of relief, thinking that Krillin could not be resurrected. The Dragon Ball of Namek is so powerful that it can resurrect others infinitely. Frieza, I will definitely defeat you. Frieza looked at the resurrected Vegeta, his mood completely jumped, and his own energy gradually dropped. Until he was cut in half by his own moves and destroyed by his own insidiousness. In the end, Namek exploded at that moment and turned into dust in the universe. Death World. Super Saiyan, what a terrifying fighting nation, even the commander-in-chief may not be able to compare to them. Aizen trembled and murmured, I wonder how many moves he can take on the Saiyans after Benju. Or still defeated by one move. No, that's impossible, or maybe he will be defeated by Jinghua Shuei. Aizen was thinking wildly. Vegeta, who had arrived at a planet, smiled extremely cheerfully. Frieza, you deserve to die. It's a pity that it wasn't me who did it. Vegeta has now reached the point where he will become a Super Saiyan. I fantasize about what I am doing. The scene changed. People on the Earth also knew that Wukong was still alive through Shenlong, but he started practicing outside the planet. 1 year later, their next enemy resurfaces. After a brief period of peace, the warriors encountered a Super Saiyan from the future, Trunks. And this time the enemy is stronger than Frieza. Artificial humans appear again. Marvel World. What a doctor with outstanding IQ, who can actually transform people to this point. Stark looked at his armor, and then at the artificial man. A strange thought arose in his mind, and he couldn't suppress it. Android 19 was successfully killed by Vegeta. The panicked Dr. Gallo escaped and awakened the two sleeping giants. Android 16 and Android 17, as soon as they appeared, they pushed Super Saiyan Vegeta to the ground and hammered him. Poor Vegeta is either being beaten or on the way to being beaten. Trunks looked at them, with anger and fear in his heart that prevented him from taking action easily. However, this time he encountered an artificial man. It seemed a little different from the one in the future. Vegeta outside the video saw the moment he became a Super Saiyan, and he was so excited that he blasted several mountains, but when he saw that he was beaten unconscious again, he was immediately dumbfounded. Isn't it so outrageous? This artificial man is so terrifying. Damn it, just thinking about how he was going to meet Dr. Gallo on Earth, Nima is so scary. It's obviously a barren planet, how could there be something so terrifying? Those aliens who had thoughts about the Earth were completely dumbfounded. Just when I was about to go to Earth, you told me that it was so dangerous. Could it be that they were the scum with a combat power of 5? I originally thought it was an artificial man destroying the world, but now I didn't kill anyone. In a city, all the people disappeared, leaving only their clothes. God was the first to discover this anomaly. A creature more evil than Frieza is about to be born. In the darkness, a green monster began to emerge from the water. In order to stop Cell, God and Piccolo merged into one, with a powerful force that neither number 17 nor number 18 can match. After Cell absorbed Piccolo's arm, he gained the ability to regenerate, and then number 17 was also absorbed. Cell evolved again, making everyone feel despair. But at this moment, Vegeta, who had been trained in a time chamber, appeared in front of Cell, and actually ravaged Cell in a crushing manner. But with his strength greatly improved, he dismissed Cell's evolution and allowed him to absorb number 18. The power exuded by Cell, who has become a complete body, makes the entire solar system tremble. This extremely evil and evil aura makes all the angels of justice feel extremely frightened. This evil creature must not survive, otherwise it will be a disaster. Sure enough, the proud Saiyan Prince was pushed to the ground again and blasted with a hammer. Outside the video, Vegeta was confused again, and he was hammered again. But when he saw Bulma and Trunks, the violence in his heart seemed to dissipate a lot. In a deserted place, the corners of the prince's mouth raised slightly. Family? Maybe they look pretty good. Cell, who was completely intact, no longer looked down upon anyone, and he also held a special martial arts conference. Here are the soldiers, and that's Satan. The final showdown between Goku and Cell. Goku's appearance made the warriors nervous. After all, the strength shown by Cell before, even Vegeta was defeated by him. Maybe Goku may not be that good after all, that even if they believe in Wukong, their belief pales in comparison in front of such enemies. The two began to attack, and just the beginning caused the space to tremble, and the dimension began to collapse. Boom! Boom! Two golden flames swept across the entire arena. The mere collision of flesh was so powerful that the fierce storm blew away the mortals. Wukong relied on the advantage of teleportation to catch Lelouch off guard, and at this time Lelouch used the clone technique. This trick doesn't work for me. Wukong chuckled lightly, his eyes blazing. He had already seen Tianjin Fan's trick a long time ago. Four cells quickly surrounded Wukong, but they were unable to suppress him. Mr. Satan, could you please explain? Satan rolled his eyes at him and said, why don't you explain it like a hammer? If it weren't for the live broadcast, I would be shouting awesome right now. That the four cells gathered energy between their eyebrows, and that move was Piccolo's unique move. Demonic light killing cannon. Four lasers attacked Wukong, but he easily avoided them by flying into the air. Cell followed closely behind, and Wukong turned his head and laughed. Obviously it was successfully fooled. Soon, Goku defeated the clones one by one, and Cell fell heavily on the field. Sharu stood up and became more and more excited. This collision of strengths made it extremely happy. Boom. They were fighting in the air at extremely fast speeds. The air vibrated violently and the space became extremely unstable. Boom. Sharu wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and laughed wildly. What a pleasure. Immediately afterwards, Sharu bent down and put his hands aside. Golden lightning was entangled in his hands, as if he was condensing something. Wukong looked at Cell's posture and his pupils shrank. That's it. This venue is so in the way. Super Turtle style Qigong wave. Buzz. Faloo shot out a huge energy wave from his hand, forming a shocking momentum and falling to the ground. Chapter 70. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The powerful shock wave covered the entire arena, including everyone below. Boom. Stirring up dust all over the sky, the boulders were shattered and turned into stone particles, flying high into the air to combine with the storm. The original martial arts venue turned into a huge pothole in an instant. Pirate World, inside the Navy headquarters, Garp stared blankly at the scene in front of him, just like a dream. Universe, planet, their enemies are so terrifying, and what kind of galaxy are they talking about? His brain shut down again, and he suddenly felt that his iron fist was still far from enough. Dragon Ball World. Dr. Gallo, who had not yet undergone modifications, looked at this scene and shouted excitedly. See it. People of the world. This is my artificial human. And Goku and the others are getting more and more nervous. I'm afraid there will be drastic changes in the future. Those KO gods will only be surprised when they see Frieza being wiped out by the Scions, but when they see Cell, the whole god can't calm down. This creature has seriously threatened the balance among living things. Screen continues. At this time, Wukong was much more injured than Cell, and Cell continued to spray out air bombs from his hands, sweeping across the entire earth, and countless stones rose into the air. Wukong rushed to the sky, leaning down to look at Cell, with cold sweat on his forehead, bruises all over his body, and determination in his eyes. Cell didn't know what he was going to do, but the next second, Wukong began to gather Chi. Turtle, group, powerful energy fluctuations swept hundreds of kilometers in an instant, and even Faloo couldn't believe it. What is he going to do? Ha ha ha, I guess you don't know how to use it. The turtle-style Qigong played at that position will definitely disintegrate the earth. Everyone on earth will die by then. But the next second, Wukong still had no intention of stopping. The veins are popping out and the teeth are clenched. Achievement. Faloo looked at him blankly. Did he really want to destroy the earth? While Cell was stunned, Wukong's eye twitched and he instantly moved in front of Cell. Faloo was shocked, with horror on his calm face, and shouted, "Ruined." Wave. Buzz. The shock wave instantly covered Cell's body and disintegrated its upper body. The shocking white light turned the whole world into snow white. It is easy to destroy the earth, but when the energy is concentrated at one point, the energy released is terrifying. But to everyone's despair, half of Cell's body actually jumped up. Half a moment later, half of his body grew instantly. Because he has Piccolo's regeneration ability, he can survive even if he is destroyed to a single cell. Wukong was exhausted at this time, and shook his head helplessly. He knew that he could no longer resist Cell, and he was not Cell's opponent at this time. Wukong raised his head and smiled at Cell, and said helplessly, "That I surrender." When these words came out, not only Shara was shocked, but even people outside the video were shocked. "Why did you surrender? It's not the last moment yet." Wukong clearly still has some strength left, and it doesn't look like he can't fight anymore. They don't understand what this warrior is thinking. At this time, Wukong looked aside, looking at everyone with gentle eyes, then fell on Gohan, and said loudly, "Gohan. It's your turn." In everyone's puzzled eyes, Gohan came on stage. Everyone dislikes Wukong's special plan. Gohan is so young, even if he awakens as a Super Saiyan, he can't be Cell's opponent. However, Gohan's next burst of fighting power made them dumbfounded. Gohan actually fought back and forth with Cell. Although his movements were not so smooth, he had already surpassed them by a lot. However, as the Saiyan Prince, Vegeta was completely furious when he saw this scene. He was so arrogant that he couldn't even surpass Kakarot, but now he was even inferior to his son. When Cell learned that Sun Wuhan could be stronger, he was so excited that he didn't know how much pleasure it would bring him. He wants to see the strongest Sun Wuhan, and he will do whatever it takes. Several small Suros emerged from the tail and began to torment the other warriors. Until Cell crushed number 16's head with his foot, the string in Gohan's heart broke instantly. The anger in his heart could no longer be suppressed, and a shocking roar filled the entire light screen. Ha! Gohan's blonde hair became more translucent, and a bang was located on his forehead. The powerful chi kept rising, and even the tears he shed were evaporated. Golden arrogance filled the whole body, lightning wrapped around the body, the air trembled, and countless gravels on the ground continued to tremble. He can make everyone feel intimidated just by standing there. Cell stared blankly at Gohan's changes, not waiting for his reaction. Gohan teleported to Cell's side. These little cells, who put the warriors into a tough fight, couldn't last even one round in Gohan's hands. No bones left of the dead. When Cell saw this godlike Gohan, he felt extremely angry, for he was so unscrupulous in killing his cub. Don't get carried away. Can be the next second, Gohan appeared in front of him and punched him in the stomach. Wow! Faloo spit out green foam, green blood flowed down between his teeth, and his bloodshot eyes were full of disbelief. I thought it was an equal battle, but why did it go so far beyond it? This is impossible. But Gohan didn't give him a chance. He was hit with just a few punches and he was unable to parry. Puff! Under this heavy pressure, even number 18 was vomited out, and his form instantly deteriorated. Faloo was also so angry that he exploded, and energy began to gather in his body. I'm going to blow up this solar system together. All of you should be buried with me. In despair, Faloo chose to self-destruct. Gohan was extremely regretful. Why didn't he get rid of him immediately? At this time, Wukong teleported in front of Cell, looked back at everyone, and said with a smile, "Sorry everyone, this is all I can think of, by now, everyone." The moment Cell exploded, Wukong took it to the King of Kai. Immediately afterwards, there was a loud noise. Boom! Wukong, KO and his two pets disappeared from the screen. Dragon Ball World. Damn it, I have nothing left. That when the KO saw this scene, he was immediately numb. A generation of Kaiju was killed in a bomb like this. Is it time to consider moving? Although his planet is small, fortunately it is also a ball. Wukong, you have gone too far. Woo, my Kaiokai, you are so miserable. No, it's too bad. It's really a good joke, hee hee hee. King of Kai still started to spray Wukong, which made Wukong, who was still practicing, look confused. For future things, look to him in the future. Baozi Mountain, Chi-Chi burst into tears. Her husband was a hero, but why did he let him? She is a widow. People from all over the world looked at Wukong in awe. He actually sacrificed himself for the planet. This kind of courage is respectable. In the picture, Wukong appears on the earth again, but this time he is in a dead state with a ball of light on his head. And many people have grown up, everyone gathers together to participate in the martial arts conference. But this crisis is beyond the past. The appearance of Kaioshin makes everyone understand that there is still a strange crisis on the earth. Through Kaioshin, they also learned about the existence of the evil magician Babidi. And pure evil, Majin Buu. During the battle, Babidi discovered the evil thoughts in Vegeta's heart and manipulated him. But how could he know how high this prince's self-esteem was? He just wanted to have a good fight with Kakarot. The energy overflowed from the battle between the two filled the entire sealed egg. With this power, Majin Buu broke the seal and appeared in the eyes of all worlds. A fat pink man looks extremely funny, and it's impossible to tell what kind of power he has. The moment Majin Buu appeared, all the evil in the world felt that he was still kind. The evil aura emanating from within makes angels fall and demons go crazy. Damn Babidi, he actually unleashed such a terrifying monster, that the moment Kaioshin saw this fat pink man appear, his whole body could not stop trembling. It was the fear coming from his soul. Kaioshin, the great Kaiyang and the gods everywhere saw this scene, and they were all panicked. Why is this a monster will be released? What should we do? In the screen. Vegeta knocked Kakarot unconscious and came to Majin Buu. He tried his best to burn his soul, but he only destroyed it into countless pieces. And Majin Buu quickly gathered the fragments together without any sign of injury. Human beings on the earth are being killed wantonly by them, but there is no way to do anything that even the use of nuclear weapons can damage it at all, let alone any other attacks. People all over the world are in panic and despair. The once bustling cities have become deserted and everyone is fleeing. But where else could they escape? At this moment, a familiar figure stood in front of Majin Buu. It is Sun Wukong. His appearance at this time seemed to give people reassurance. The hopes of countless people are pinned on Sun Wukong, and now only he can save them.